Good evening, everyone. This is Asian Movie Pulse Interviews. I'm Sean Barry, and tonight I am joined with singer and actress Yea-Ming Chen. Yea-Ming Chen is notable for being a vocals and the guitarist of the wonderful group Yea-Ming and The Rumours, as well as having a major starring role in the Surrogate Valentine Trilogy starring Go Nakamura. How are you, Yea-Ming?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. Nice to see you.
Absolutely. So I guess to get things started, my first question for you, Yaming, is what initially inspired and influenced you into pursuing a music career?
Well, I guess I mean, I it kind of started off really early on. I had at some point, I think I was around 4 years old. My I got a keyboard for Christmas, like a toy keyboard, and I remember even at that age, I started playing it. And I had this like fantasy of playing in front of an enormous audience. And so I think it started off there. And I always enjoyed music. And at some point, sort of in my late teens, early college years, I started seeing bands. And I went to one show in San Francisco. Beulah was opening up, but there was an opening band called Dressy Bessy that opened up. And I was just very inspired. I saw, a woman singing up there, and singing her songs. And I when I watched her, I realized, hey, I think I could do the same thing. And so it was sort of seeing Dressy Bessy that really pushed me to go buy a guitar and start writing songs.
Excellent. Any personal favorite bands growing up?
When I was growing up, I really loved the Gilman scene in Berkeley. So I was really into this band called Mr. T Experience and the Queers. Yeah, I was really into pop punk bands. Green Day, that whole
Green Day.
that whole genre.
And what is it about music that speaks to you personally?
Well, I mean, it's the wonderful and beautiful thing about music is that there's two sides to it. There's a very cathartic aspect to it, right? Like you can
Mhm.
really, if you're feeling sad and you listen to a song that just really moves you, it can help you feel better. It can help you emote. Even when you write songs, it helps you process feelings. But there's also the very, intellectual and more left brain side of it, where um, it's really stimulates a certain part of your brain that other things don't.
So in a way, it's very therapeutic in a way, and almost like
Yes,
meditative.
absolutely, yeah.
Any particular of like the instruments you play, are there any particular ones that really stand out for you amongst all of them?
That's a good question. I mean, I grew up playing classical piano, and that's how I really got into music. But it wasn't until I started playing guitar that I really started feeling like I could really emote. It was hard for me to express myself through the piano, and even though I'm not as good of a guitarist, it's what really just got me to that point that felt like me.
Excellent. And of course, this is a great segue. You are, of course, well known for being a member of the music group Yea-Ming and The Rumours, a wonderful little group that uh, is really like, in many respects, it's very like artistically expressive type of music. And how did this group come to be?
Um, well, I guess I before this band, I was in a band called Dream Date, with my friend Anna Hilberg, and um, when Dream Date sort of fizzled, I was really desiring something to to play the kind of music that I wasn't able to play in Dream Date. So Dream Date was sort of more of a pop band, and I really wanted to play some songs that were a little bit more chill, um, uh, and some more folky country aspects, but I still wanted to incorporate the pop that was in me, and so I got Anna, who was in Dream Date, into the Rumors, and then I also Sonia, who was um, our most recent drummer in Dream Date. I also asked her to be part of the Rumors, and then Owen, I had met. He was playing. I had met him in the earlier years, and he had played in this band called Readyville, and I had always admired his slide guitar playing, and how he was just very tasteful. So I just asked him. He was sort of a new person, and I asked him, and he was down, and we had really good chemistry, and so that's how it came about.
It's wonderful, and it's honestly a beautiful story.
Thanks.
Um, of course, there are a lot of memorable songs that have come out of this group, including "Sign on the Window," and probably one of your most popular ones is "I Will Make You Mine." More on that later. Um, I guess for you, are there any particular songs that have come out of Yea-Ming and the Rumors that I think that you're very proud of, that like really you feel like kind of define you as a musician?
Oof, that's that's a really hard question. I mean, I guess the thing is like I feel like every time I'm trying to write a song, I feel like I'm trying to grasp a certain part of me, and so I wouldn't say that there's one specific, because when I look back on it, it's like okay, I was able to reach my goal with that song, but then this other part I wasn't able to really quite grasp. So I
Hmm.
don't think I have a specific song. I mean, I am proud of "I Will Make You Mine," um, and "Sign on My Window." Those are good. Those are like little, little tiny little like shells or something. I don't know. Yeah, I like that. I my goal usually is to be able to have the sense that even though I worked really, really hard on it, that the song is just it just sort of came to me and it's light and breezy, if that makes any sense.
Light and breezy. That's an interesting way of putting it. What do you mean by light and breezy?
Just like as if like I just walked into a room and was like, "Hey, I have something to tell you." Blah, 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 blah.
I have a wonderful story to tell you about a sign on the window.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. Um, Now, of course, another thing that you are well known for is for starring in the Surrogate Valentine Trilogy, where you played a fictional version of yourself. I guess my question is, did you ever think you would become involved in film beforehand?
Absolutely not. No, not at all. I've always admired. I've always watched movies and television shows, and but never for a second thought that that was something I would do. Um, yeah, I think I at some point in middle school I um, tried out for a play and wasn't selected for a part, and I think at that point I was like, okay, I guess it's not for me. I don't have it, and didn't really pursue it. And I always in my life pursued music, and so it's kind of like one of those things where it I know it's not true, but it feels like you're really only allowed to have one dream, like one artistic dream, or it's just like seems like it's too much or something like that. So I always just pursued music because I got a little bit more good feedback from playing music.
Thing. And how were you initially offered the role of playing the fictional version of yourself in the first entry that you appeared in, the second film of the trilogy, Daylight Savings? Were you initially intimidated?
Yeah, well, so that's an interesting story. So I had saw that Go Nakamura, who was my friend from the music scene in San Francisco, that he had a film called Surrogate Valentine, and so I had planned on going to see Surrogate Valentine, um, uh, for the Asian American Film Festival in San Francisco, and I had invited my brother to go with me. And maybe it was coming up, and all of a sudden I got a Facebook message. I think it was a Facebook message from Gary Chow, and um, he just randomly asked me if I wanted to be his guest to go see Surrogate Valentine. And so, and I was like, okay, that's strange, but okay. But I was like, but we need to bring my brother because I was planning on going with my brother. So he got my brother and me to go, and we watched the movie. At the very end of the movie, Gary was turned to me and said, "Did you like the movie?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's great." And he's like, "Do you want to be in the next one?" And I was like, "What?" And I was like, "Of course!" Like, no question. I was just like, I was shocked, and so that's sort of how it happened. The backstory is that they were looking for someone that was sort of like a female version of Go, and so Go just brought me up because we've been friends for a while. And so he just suggested me, and that's how it sort of happened. So I owe it all to Go.
Full. And in the film, like you and Go wonderfully play off each other, like the on-screen chemistry in Daylight Savings and would be carried over in I'll Make You Mine. It feels very raw and feels very like natural.
Cool, awesome, that's great.
Um, I guess what a follow-up to that is after you did Daylight Savings, did you think there was going to be a follow-up? Like there was going to be another film to continue the storyline, which of course would be concluded in I Will Make You Mine.
Yeah, I mean, I originally, so it started off as, everyone talked about it as a trilogy. So in my mind, it was going to happen. But then years went by, and then I was like, okay, I guess it's not going to happen, and I just sort of gave up on it. And then out of nowhere, out of the blue, I got a message from Lynn asking me if I would be a part of it, that she was going to write it and make it, and if I wanted to be a part. And I said, of course. It was so fun to film Daylight Savings. I'd never done anything like that before. I found it to be cathartic in a completely different way. And to answer your previous question, it was very intimidating, but I just found it so fun, and just something I never thought I could do, and have the chance to do. So when Lynn asked me, I was like, of course, because I want to do it again.
Wonderful. And you mentioned that was fun. Was that usually the general atmosphere on set for you with both movies?
Yeah, definitely. I think, Dave Boyle was very, he's kind of a, really chill guy. Um, and so even any nervousness I had was really just sort of melted away working with Dave and working with Go. Doing stuff with Go helped a lot. He was also very encouraging. And it helped that I knew him too. We were already friends. Um, yeah. So yes.
Right. Are you interested in doing any more acting roles in the future?
Yeah, I am. I definitely am for sure. I realize that um, it's a hard art to pursue. All arts are hard to pursue. And um, I kind of feel like, again, I've already chosen music as the one that I'm just going to just really go for. And I know it's the one that I will never stop doing, whether or not I succeed or not succeed in it. But as far as acting goes, I really enjoy it, and I take any opportunity I can to get to do it again. And I think it's also helpful too to have like a different kind of um, to have different kinds of outlets in life, right? Like, when you're a child, you draw, you play, you play make believe, you play music, you do all these things that really are just so wonderful. And there's this like idea that when you become an adult, you can't do that anymore, or you're a fool. But I really believe that, why not continue to play and explore? All those things are so, the arts in general are so therapeutic and cathartic and wonderful for your imagination. Like, why not? So,
Why not? That's actually a great way of putting it. Why not? Um, what is your this might be a little weird question, but what is your opinion on the current state of like the music industry as well as say the indie filmmaking industry?
well, that's sort of a heavy question. You know, in general, there's a lot to unpack there.
Take your
In
time.
general, so yeah, so there's like both industries have changed a lot due to technology, right? Like the film industry has, and TV industry has moved primarily to streaming. Movie theaters are less enjoyed. In music, everything's gone from physical copies of records to you know streaming services like Spotify that pay artists nothing, right? So there's that whole aspect of it. So as a musician, it's a bummer to just sort of try to sell your records. You know, you work really really hard on them, but instead of someone buying a record for say $20, they're listening to it for 0.00001 cent or something like that, right? So that's a bummer. As far as the entertainment or the film industry, um, I think it's I think it's nice to be able to watch things at home, but I still really love being able to watch going to the movie theater, like for that real for that experience of just being able to hear everything and see everything the way films are supposed to be made. And then in both industries, this is like the other aspect of it is as far as Asian American representation in general. There's a huge problem. I've always felt like that was a huge problem growing up. It's gotten a lot better in the last few years. There's been a sort of an uptick, and it does seem like networks and Hollywood are trying to make a better effort and being more inclusive. But I think we have a long, 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 long way to go because it seems like everywhere I go, we're still underrepresented. And it still seems like there's token token Asian American actors that are succeeding, and I'm so happy to see it. But there needs to be more. There needs to be stories. We need to see more stories with primarily Asian American people in it, or etc. So part of the reason why I really like making I Will Make You Mine with Lynn is we got to play three women that were completely different from each other. Nobody was a token Asian person in the film, right? We were all different characters. And so I know, as a person that's not primarily an actor, how lucky I am that I got to be in a project like that. I mean, I know there are plenty of Asian American actors that have been spending their whole lives trying to be in a project where they're not the token Asian person. So that was sort of a long-winded answer to your question.
Oh no, absolutely no, nothing wrong with that. That was a terrific answer, and let's hope that there is more of a growth in what just exactly what you described. It seems like slowly but surely there is more and more momentum being gained, but let's hope that in the future that it will continue to rise.
Yeah, definitely.
Um, Now, I guess one last question before I wrap this up for you is regarding the music industry, like you were saying earlier. Um, do you think that perhaps like the same could be said, like the way you describe how movie theaters aren't really being as like filled up as much? Do you think the same can be said for live music being performed?
No, I think people still have a desire to go see live music. We definitely saw a slowdown, during the pandemic, um, and um, and even like when people started getting vaccinated, there was still sort of like a hesitancy to come out. But I feel like we've gotten to the point now where people are feeling safe and actually playing shows after the pandemic has been very refreshing because there's been I've noticed that there's been a lot of appreciation from showgoers. It's as if it's as if they have forgotten how special and fun live music was, right? During the pandemic, you kind of forgot how great it is. You took it for granted, and once people were able to go to shows again, I felt like I was seeing people that were actually excited again. And so I think live music, um, I don't see it going away anytime soon. I mean, even sometimes some people will have shows where it's streaming, and I think that that's nice as a convenience, but I think that primarily people still want to see music in person. Plus the audio, is a huge thing. Live music can be very, very difficult to capture um, perfectly and well. And so unless you have a great audio engineer that's doing everything perfectly, and especially someone that understands how to translate it to a live streaming service, um, then it's better to see the show live. I mean, even if the sound engineer is great, there could be problems with the internet, cutting in and out. So it's or someone's computer, right? Like the person viewing it has to have a good system also. So there's all these things that's in the way of getting to be able to hear it the way it's meant to be heard.
Absolutely, the way it's intended, the way the artist wants it to be, heard by audiences.
Right.
Um, well, Yea-Ming, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to do this interview for Asian Movie Pulse. I guess to wrap things up, do you have any projects that you'd like to promote, upcoming projects?
I am well, nothing to promote. I can promote my record that just came out in March called Sobered. It's on Dandy Boy Records. You can buy the LP from them. And as far as upcoming projects, I'm working on the next record, so stay tuned for that. Hopefully that will be out next year at some point. So I am crazy working on that and doing everything I can to get that finished. So we'll see where that goes.
I Good luck with that.
Thank you. Thanks so much for having me.
Of course. Thank you for taking the time to do this.
Yeah.
And to all the viewers out there, a lot of Yea-Ming's work is available. The Surrogate Valentine Trilogy is available on multiple streaming services. The entire trilogy, Surrogate Valentine, Daylight Savings, and I Will Make You Mine, are all available on multiple streaming services, such as Amazon, as well as YouTube and iTunes. And of course, we can't ignore your music. A lot of Yea-Ming's music is also widely available on Bandcamp as well as iTunes Store. But also, if you want to go in a little more retro direction, a lot of her work is also available on vinyl, including her album Sober, which I love that title, Sobered.
Thank
Um,
you.
Widely available. So if you also want to like listen to it, on record, it is available through that way. But also some of her other work is available on record as well, including Baby Blue for Yea-Ming and The Rumours. And if you want to go a little more the extra mile, there's even audio cassette. So if you really want to experience it the old-fashioned way, there's this method as well. But definitely support Yea-Ming and The Rumours, and definitely give the Surrogate Valentine Trilogy a watch. Well, Yea-Ming, thanks again for taking the time to do this interview.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. And this is Asian Movie Pulse Interviews, tuning out.